Tomorrow you don't have Brian.
No, I don't.
Hi, Mario.
Hi, Danny. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Hi, Faggy.
Hi, how are you?
Well, thank you.
How's Tammy doing?
We spent the weekend in La Costa. We just came back. It was nice break.
How was it?
The weather was cooler.
Better than here, I'm sure. Oh, that's nice. Good.
There's a Chabad right next door.
Oh, nice. What's the name of the hotel?
La Costa.
Oh, the Costa.
You grew up here. Everybody used to go there, apparently.
Right, right.
Hello.
What's behind you, Mario?
Tammy, I like your earrings there.
Where's Tammy?
You can see she has a pair of earrings.
She's hiding behind her earrings.
Oh, okay. Bernie, that book you gave me, it's so upsetting.
Yeah, isn't it? Wow.
Oh, terrible.
Mario, what's behind you? What is that?
It's me.
But he often shows up on Fox.
Yeah, he does.
Interviewed.
Look,
Yeah. No,
That's
you
not-
look better in person.
That's not you.
yes, I took a nap and
Yeah.
they made an avatar of me.
Oh, that's your avatar?
Yeah. I think it looks good.
It looks like somebody.
Yeah.
Hi, Ernie. Hi, Susie. Welcome
Hi,
back.
Susie.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
Hello,
Believe
welcome
it, you're
back.
still up. Oh my gosh. You haven't crashed yet.
I know I'm so tired, but
I can imagine.
yeah, but it was, wonderful. It was a great
I'm
trip.
sure, I'm sure.
And eating all those Hungarian pastries.
Goulash.
Oh my
Goulash.
gosh. And all these Hungarian
Pop-
cakes, like
Gosh.
also like pastries,
No.
black bar.
I
Like
don't want
even
to
got,
like-
I guess I must be getting, I don't know, all those things that we all grew up on.
You know, Lekbar is an anagram of Kevlar. Just think about that.
Black bar.
You must have had a great time.
It was great. It was really fun. And the people are all nice there. The people are all very fine people.
Yeah, they're Canadian, that's fine.
No, from all over.
Your brother
Did
went
you
too,
get to
right?
meet anybody new?
Yeah, a lot of new people. Very, very nice people. Very nice people.
You look a bit tired, Susie.
Exhausted.
When did you get in?
We got in at 12 today.
Ah,
But we're 10 hours ahead in there. 10 hours, they're 10 hours ahead. So it's really late for us. It's like,
so what happened with Betty and Svika? What's going on with these two old people?
No,
Look who's
they had
talking.
been in
no,
Spain
they're
for
fantastic.
10 days. But when they got to
But you're taping. This is
Budapest, he was a little under the weather. It took him a few days to recover.
Because it was very hot in Spain. So going from hot to air conditioning bus to hot and, you know,
Mhm.
Oh, so what happened? Shame.
no, it's terrible to get a cold. You know, it's hard to get a cold when you get a cold.
Isn't he in Switzerland now?
Yes, for a week.
Boy, he's been traveling a lot then.
You know, it's very nice. They took their 4 granddaughters to Spain with them. So that's a nice idea.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Like
Did they
4
bring them back?
What do you mean? So what, after the trip they went to Spain? I must
No,
have-
before they
Before,
went to Spain,
Oh.
they took it's a great idea to bring 4 teenage granddaughters.
That's, so they were on your on your trip too?
No,
No.
they went before to Spain.
but Mark Shapiro's son was with us. He was, and there was a pediatric ENT about my age from Philadelphia, and his wife was a workers' comp attorney. Very interesting.
No, but they also just bought your Yamim, and she said that now everybody's buying in like Netanya, so maybe you should revisit it. Maybe we should revisit.
Yeah.
We should revisit Netanya.
Mhm.
Okay, did we start Pasuk Ches, or did I only go up to Pasuk Ches?
Up to.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mario.
Thank you.
God, Mario,
Up to
no.
Pasuk, in what chapter?
We're Melachim
Four,
Perek Dalet.
four, 4-8.
This is the Haftorah of Parshas Vayera. And we're going to see the reason. The first part of the Parsha we did last time was the miracle with the Shemen. There was Ovadiah's wife who didn't have any Parnasa, and he told her to bring out all the Kalim, and she poured Shemen, and the Shemen kept on pouring. He is recreating double all the Nisim that had occurred to Eliyahu.
Excuse me, what page is that?
Well, I don't know what
257.
Melachim Beis,
Oh.
257.
Perek Daled, Pasuk.
Okay. Yeah.
4-8.
Just reviewing that we talked about the Shemen, that she was then able to make Parnasa. And of course, why is it the Parsha of Parshas Vayera? Because in Parshas Vayera, the 3 Malachim come to inform Avram and Sarah that they're going to have a child. And we're now going to be told a similar story about the Isha Shunamit, the woman from Shunem that he visits. So that's the parallels. The Rav Schwab had said that Eishes of Adyo was a Yirei Hashem. The Pasuk said Yirei Hashem. Vatayadata ki avdecha ya Yirei Hashem. That Ovadia had Yiras Hashem, and also there by Avraham Avinu it says ki atayadati ki Yirei Elokim. So it's another connection. So now the story changes location. Vayhi hayom vayavor Elisha el Shunem. Elisha travels and is in the city of Shunem. This is not going to be the 8th nace. Excuse me, it's going to be the 7th nace that he's going to cause a barren woman to have children. And then the 8th nace, we'll see what happens after that. There's an important woman. She was a very big Hachnosas Orchim person. She would have Elisha eat bread with her in her house. When he passed by, he would eat by her house. Elisha was a traveling preacher. He would travel to be Madrich Liam. He went from place to place. That was similar to Shmuel Hanavi, who said he took his bayit with him. Shunem is in Shevet Yisachar. In Sefer Yehoshua, Perek Yutes Pasuk Yud Ches, it says, "V'sham isha dola chashuva, v'yiras chet," and she had Tovayin. She's the sister of Avishaga Shunamit. Avishaga Shunamit is the woman that they found for David HaMelech. She was either the mother, according to the Radak, or the wife of Ido Hanavi. We had a dealings with Ido Hanavi in Melachim Aleph. And she provided Achnos Zorchim to Elisha even before anybody knew who Elisha was. He wasn't well known at that time as well. Why is there no mention of her husband? So the husband didn't get involved in Achnos Zorchim. He was learning. And others say he was Ido Hanavi. That he wasn't around to provide Achnos Zorchim. Now, is it a good thing to take gifts from people? So the Gemara in Brachas Yud Amud Beis, Amar Abaya, V'Timer of Yitzchak, Haroitze lehenos. Somebody wants to benefit from other people. Yehene Elisha. There's no Isser, and you should do it like Elisha Navi. V'she'ena Rotze lehenos. Let's say if a person has on principle, I'm not going to take gifts from people. You're allowed to do that too. And Rashi says, "Ein bedavar lo mishum gasas ruach lo mishum sina." You're by saying, "Oh, I'm not going to take gifts from anybody." You're not considered haughty. That was Shmuel HaRamasi. He didn't want to accept gifts. How do we know that? It says in Shmuel Aleph, "Utshuvaso haramasa kisham beso." He took everything he needed with him. He had a traveling bias.
Ernie, but when you take from someone, you're also giving that person a schut. You're giving them a schut of
Hachnasas Orchim.
Hachnasas Orchim.
Chazal have a saying from a pasuk in Mishlei, "Sonei matnos yichya." The person who hates taking things from people will live a long life. So the Maharsha, in fact, from that pasuk asks on this Elisha, how is it mutter for Elisha to take gifts? So this isn't a gift, this is Achnos Sorchim. When a person is traveling, a person has a din of an ani, because you don't have anything when you travel. So it's mutter to accept when you're a traveler like this. I think it's similar to what Barbara was saying. Also, the Malbim explains, Elisha just didn't benefit from anybody. It had to be Roy, somebody Roy to service the Talmid Chacham.
Ernie, was she aware of his fact that he was someone of significance, that he was?
Yes. She was aware. We'll see soon how so. Chazam Brachas there says, Amrav Pinchas Yair, who ain't an enemy call on them. Ela Yisrael Kedoshim. Yesh sheyesh lo v'nerotza. They're people who have, but don't want to take. V'yesh rotza v'ein lo. Avalata Rebbe rotza v'yesh lo. That means Reb Yehuda Nasi wanted to give and he had to give. And Elisha was careful not to take from people who couldn't give. This woman was known to be a wealthy woman. So he was masking to eat by her as the Echsan. Now, something else that we the Taz writes, says Vahi Hayom with the Hey Yidiyah. There's another place where it says Atem Nitzavim Hayom Kulchem. We lay in that parsha always right before Rosh Hashanah. The Taz says, the Beis Yosef brought that this day was Rosh Hashanah. And they bring it in that you're supposed to fast on Rosh Hashanah. And the Taz asks, how could you say that you have to fast? We see that Elisha ate at the Shunamis, and it's Rosh Hashanah. And he says, "V'zeraya she'el tshuva." It's a kasha you can't answer. So the Taz clearly comes out that it's a mitzvah to eat on Rosh Hashanah, not to fast. Pasuk test. Vatomer Elisha. So the Isha Shunamis says to her husband, "Hinei yadati ki ish Elohim kadosh hu." This is a man of God. He's holy. Over aleinu tamid, and he's always passing by. The Gemara in Brachos there says, "Am Rav Yosef Rav Chanina mikan sha'isha makeres ba'orchin yoser min ha'ish." The wife will have a better handle on who the guests are more than the husband. Because it says kadosh hu. Mina yada. How did she know that he was a kadosh? Barbara asked. So Rav Shmuel. Chadam Shalorosa zvuv over al shulchano. There were no flies flying around his table. He was treating his shulchan. The Maharsha explains he was treating his shulchan like a mazbeach. Just like by the mizbech it says there was no zvuv in the Beis Hamikdash. The Chadam are sadin shel pistan itzia mitos. So Valoros a carrier love. He was a kadosh in that he was not involved in sexual immorality. I think we asked this last time too. The Rav Chaim Shmulevitz asked, fine. She saw that there were no flies buzzing around his head. How did the flies know that he's a kadosh? So the Rav Chaim Kanievsky says that animals are margishim b'kedusha. Says even he brings a raya from Masechta Sota that even birds can tell if somebody's cheap or not. Another drasha, it's interesting from our perek, Brachos Yud on the base Kadosh Hu, Amrav Yisrael Hu Kadosh. Elisha is holy. We're talking about being sexually temperate, but Umesharso ain't a Kadosh. But Gehazi was not. I mean, she could tell right away who this Gehazi. Gehazi is the Meshoris of Elisha. But we'll see rise later on that Gehazi was involved with women.
Ernie, here it says that from the Gemara in Brachos that the reason the flies knew that he was holy, he had the fragrance of Gan Eden.
Okay?
So the flies knew to stay away.
So animals have a sense of people. Now,
That's good.
Ernie,
yes.
Ernie, that was just learning this week about Bilam and the donkey. So how come the donkey could see something and the Bilam couldn't see when Bilam was there on the donkey? Couldn't see, but the donkey saw. They said that animals see things, have perception. I'm not saying that they see things, but they have perception because they don't have an ego. They can feel things which human beings who have egos can't feel. That's what.
So we know Pirkei Avos makes a distinction between the students of Avram Avinu and the students of Bilam. There were a lot of Rishonim there were Titus, there's Esav, we can go on with a huge list. Why Dafka Bilam? So the Torah itself uses language. Avram, when he went to the Akedah, Rochev al Chamoro. And Bilam is Rochev al Asono, riding his female donkey. A Chamor is a male donkey, and Ason is a female donkey. It says there, V'haskein hiskanta esamecha. Samech chaf nun. And then when they looked by Abishaga Shunamit to warm David HaMelech up, they needed a woman that she was a sochenet. So Chazal learned from there that Bilam had relations with his donkey.
Okay.
Because Haskein is Kanta and Sochenet, that means Avram was Rochev al Chamoro. He had shlita over his chumrius, over his physicality. He was the master over his physicality, because a male with a male, usually there's no chibur, there's no connection. Avram is a male, the Chamor is a male, but the female donkey, he had a chibur to chumrius, not ruchnius. Anyway, you brought up Bilam, and it's something that I said in Prague. That is all from the Maral. Okay, so we're not going to go into the Indian of Yichud there. This was before the rest of Klal Yisrael knew who Elisha was. She knew, but not anybody else. Because she was such a Achdosas Orchim person, she got to know people earlier than others. So what does the woman suggest to her husband? Pasuk Yud. Naseno alias kirktana. Let's make for him a second story. V'nasim lo sham. We will place there a mitah v'shulchan v'chisei u'nora. A bed, a table, a chair, and a candelabra. V'haya b'va'o elenu yasur shama. When he comes to visit us, he'll have his own room. She recognized his mila was so great that he should be able to have his bodedus on his own, rather than hang around with the bnei habayis, and even to use his own kelim. There's a machlokus in Brachas Yud Omid Beis between Rav and Shmuel. What is this aliyah? Chad Omer aliyah pruah. It was open. The roof was removed. And it was a place whose roof was removed, and she recommended that they put a roof on it. It was a big sort of patio, and she divided it into two to give him his own. So the Gemara says, if you have a big patio and you have to make it into two, so you have to put a wall in between. I understand kier. According to the one that says that they put a roof on, what's kier? So shakirua means they put a ceiling on it, and you could use that language. And Bishop Amandar Aliyah, I don't see Aliyah, because it says here, let's make him an Aliyah's kier. According to the Alexandra, what's Aliyah? Means it's Mu'ula Shababatim. It's always great for a house to have a wonderful patio or balcony. Why is the Zohar asks that the order is not correct? First you need a chair, then a table, then you read, then you go to sleep. Why is the bed mentioned first? A mita is chaviv to a person because he gets to sleep there. And remember, one of the pshatim, how did she know she was a kaddish? Because she put down the sheets, the linen, and they were not discolored with the balkari. So the mita was the primary kli that was put there. The Sforno says that all of this is connected to like the Mishkan, right? The Mishkan also had a shulchan and a menorah. Pasuk Yud Aleph. Vahi hayom vayavo shama. Vayasar el aliyah vayishkav sham. So it was today, it was Rosh Hashanah, and he went into his new attic, and he slept there. In the past, he would only eat there. Now he's going to sleep there as well. Pasuk Yud Beis. Vayomer el Gehazi na'aro. Elisha had a servant. Like the relationship between Yoshua and Moshe. So that's the relationship between Gehazi and Elisha. Krala shunamit hazah. Call the shunamit. Vayikra lav v'tamod lefanav. So he calls her, and she stands in front of Elisha. Elisha doesn't speak to her ponim el ponim. She's at Snuan, he's at Snuan. But you see, Gehazi had no problem. Some say Gehazi was only a servant, but others say he was a Talmud who was chosen by Elisha for this. And he was royal Gdula, but he fell short. Remember, normally we said, Godel Shimushu Yoiser Melimudo. That was learned by Elisha serving Eliyahu.
Ernie, I wanted to, Gehazi was an intermediary. I just read that Elisha would not speak to women, so he used Gehazi as his, intermediary. So
Right.
he forced Gehazi to speak to women.
But if
Right.
Gehazi was a Kadosh, he would have avoided speaking to women.
He would have avoided that as well.
But that's why the Pasuk says, Hu Kadosh, Hu Meshorso Eina Kadosh. It's a diuk. And later on, Gehazi is going to push that. Later on, he's going to be enraptured by her beauty. And we're going to see that the Shunamit had already figured out who this Gehazi was. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But in Sanhedrin, Daf Yud, Amud Beis, Gehazi Adam Gibor B'Torah Haya. Ela Shahayu Bo Shlosh Dvorim. He had 3 faults. Ayin Sarah. Right? He was cheap. He didn't want to, part with his money or give gifts. Uparutz be'erva. He was sexually immoral. And the law Yemoida B'Tchias HaMesim. Yet he had Gedula that he could be the Talmud of Elisha, but he had Chisoron in his midos. So they also said in Prague, the midos we said Moshe Rabbeinu is the only Navi who could see clear vision. All the other Nevi'im couldn't. Now,
Why was that brought up in Prague?
I will tell you why. Because I spoke Friday night to the group.
So nice.
I quoted the Daf Yomi that we had, those of us in the Daf Yomi, just a week ago, where in Baba Basra, they discussed the authors of all the Sifrei Tanakh. So it says Moshe wrote Sifro, Uparshas Bilam, the Sefer Iyu. So everybody asks, what do you mean Sifro? Sifro means Torah's Moshe, right? Chamisha Chumshei Torah, that's Moshe Rabbeinu's Torah. And then Parshas Bilam. Well, what do you mean? Parshas Bilam is part of
it.
Torah's Moshe. Why is that mentioned as a separate thing? So I gave the Maril Diskin was the Gadol in Yerushalayim until like 1890. He's the one that put a ban on secular education in Yerushalayim. It still exists today. His wife was a granddaughter of the Noida Yehuda. The wife gave him a huge nadin and the famous Diskin orphanage in Yerushalayim. Many of you would see calendars and
Yeah.
Diskin orphanage. That's the Maril Diskin, and that was funded by. We were at the kever of the Noida Yehuda in Prague. The Noida Yehuda was the Rav in Prague. That's one of the reasons I brought it. But I wanted to say that the reason why all other Nevi'im were not Aspaklir Me'ira, think about seeing something through rose-colored or green-colored glasses. You would see it not the way it should be. It's red-stained or green-stained. Every Navi had some kind of chisaron, jealousy, kas. That is what colored his vision. The only person who refined his midos to the complete degree was Moshe Rabbeinu. So everything that Hashem told him came out exactly the way it was supposed to. Now, we know it says, Lokam Navi Kemoshe, Od. So it says, yeah, in Yisrael Lokam, but the Umas HaOlam Kam, Umanu Bilam. There are no other Navis like Moshe in Israel, but for the Umas HaOlam there was Bilam. So how do we understand that? So Bilam was the most lack of midos anybody we ever had. He just said he slept with his donkey. He was immoral. So the concept was, in fact, Hashem told Bilam, don't curse the Jewish people. Why did Bilam think that he could go against what God wanted him to do and curse the Jewish people? Right? The whole parsha there says, Kivaruchu. The people are blessed. What is Bilam going to do? So Bilam understood very well that his nefesh was mekulkal, and that anything coming through him, going to Klal Yisrael, would come out like a klala. So in fact, the Kodesh Baruch Hu subverted all of that and gave him those brachos aspekliria me'ira without any addition of Bilam. So the only other part of the Torah where Moshe Rabbeinu didn't add anything to that because it already came out with aspekliria me'ira. When Moshe recounts Avram and Yitzchak and Yaakov, he adds things. They were Nevi'im, but they didn't have the same power of Nevuah that he did. So his aspekliria me'ira and all other places in the Torah added chidush to everything. The only place he didn't add was in Bilam, because that came already aspekliria me'ira in order to avoid the bracha that was going to come out of Bilam to be saturated with the bad midos that Bilam had. That's a long answer, but it fits into what we're saying here about midos, that Gechazi lacked midos. Pasuk Yud Gimel. Vayomer lo. So Elisha says to Gechazi, Emor na eleha. Please say to the Isha Shunammit, Hinei charadata elenu et kol hacharada hazot. Look at this wonderful hishtadlus that you do towards us. Melasot lach. What can we do for you? Hayesh ledaber lach la melech? Should I speak to the king on your behalf? O el Sar Tzava, maybe the general? And she gives a very famous answer. Vatomer b'toch ami anochi yoshavet. No, I have everything. I am with my people.
But Ernie, can I just say, he was obviously he was trying to reciprocate to her, paying her for her hospitality. So she should have perhaps given him an opportunity to, to reciprocate. No.
Okay, she could have. So she could have, but she took a different approach.
Mm.
Of course, Elisha is accepting gifts. He could be mashpia to them by giving a bracha. And he
Right.
wants to give him a bracha.
Right.
Now, I want to refer this, we mentioned this is Rosh Hashanah. And this story is used many times that when the din is when you are part of a group, the din is much easier than if you're isolated as an individual. That's why in Shemona Esrei we daven plural. Rifa'enu ad Hashem v'nei rafei. We don't say rifa'eni. We don't say heal me. We say rifa'enu. If you look at the Shemona Esrei, everything is plural. We don't want to be separate. If we all of a sudden separate ourselves, Hashem's going to take a good, careful look at us. So that is what this B'tocha mi anochi yoshavin always resonated with me, that she wants to be part of the klal.
Well, also, just cumulatively, people kind of pull their schuyot. You have that cumulative, effect. So it's more powerful than just, the individual schut.
And
Is it not?
Yep, that's part of it too. But part of it is this issue of not have the focus on you as an individual, but be part of the klal. We say in the Nisanik Tokef, Kol Bayei Olam Avrim Lefanav Kivnei Maron, that we're worried about that. We describe like sheep going one by one, being evaluated by Hashem. It's terrifying. And B'tocha mi anochi yoshavet is a way to say that I want to be within my people. Pasuk Yudal. Vayomer Uma lasot lav. Okay. What should we do for her? So Vayomer Gechazi aval ben ein la v'isha zaken. Gechazi says, you know what? She doesn't have any children. She's barren, and she has an old husband. Derech hateva, they're not going to be able to have children. Tetzva, vayomer krala. So Elisha says, call to her. Vayikra la v'tamud b'posach. They called her, and she stands in the doorway. That means they're not speaking directly, like Barbara mentioned, and she stays she doesn't go into her room. She stays only at the opening. Again, it shows at least she's tznuah and Elisha's tznuah. So what does Elisha say? Vayomer, Lamawed hazeh ka'ed chaya. Now, we're going to learn 3 pshatim in ka'ed chaya. Whatever that means, at choveket ben. The time is going to come and you're going to have a child. Vatomer ladoni ish Elohim al techazeh b'shivchasecha. Don't make choisik with me. Don't make fun of me. So ka'ed chaya means right now, because the way the Rambam learns, past tense is dead time. You can never recover it. The future is not here yet. So it's the present that is alive. Rashi learns, just like you are around and in peace, and you're alive, so too, 9 months from now, you'll be able to have a child. The Metzudas David learns, when it's time for you to give birth, which is at the end of 9 months, you'll be choveket bein.
Another interpretation is that he experienced Ruach HaKodesh at that moment, the Eit Chaya.
That's sort of like the Rambam saying right now. Now, is this a nevuah or is this a bracha? We know when a tzaddik says something, tzaddik goizer and HaKadosh Baruch Hu fulfills. Or is this something that he's seeing in Nevuah? So the Sforno says it's not a Dvar Nevuah. It's more like a bracha, which the HaKadosh Baruch Hu will fulfill what the tzaddik wants. Now, the Zohar says, who is this child going to be? Chavakuk. The Navi, one of the Treyasar Naviim, Chavakuk, because of the word choveket bein.
Well, you have the same expression Ka'et Chaya by the Malachim that came to visit Avram Avinu.
Now the Malbim says that from the Lashon of Elisha, that you will, choveket means like you will nurse a child. It's implying bad news, that he's not going to live long. He's just going to be able to nurse her, but that's it. Not just that you'll have a child. And as we saw, the Bereishis Rabbah makes a lot of comparisons between the news that was told to Sarah and the news that is here. And again, that's why we use this for Parshas Vayera. Pasuk Yud Zayin, Vatara Yishava Teled Bein. She is pregnant, and she gives birth Lamoed Hazeh Ka'et Chaya, exactly when 9 months after Elisha spoke to her, Shediber Elea Elisha. The tzaddik was Goizer and Hashem was Mekayim. Vayigdal HaYoled, the child grew up. Vayi Hayom, Vayitze Laviv El HaKutzrim. He goes out to help his father in the harvest. And Vayomer El Aviv Roshi Roshi. He has a headache. And he says, my head, my head. Vayomer El Anar Sa'eu El Imo. And the father says to one of his workers, take him to his mother. Vayisa'ei, Vayivier El Imo, Vayeshev Al Birkea, Arat Sarayim Vayamon. She holds him on his lap until he dies. Some say that it was heat stroke from they were out there because of harvesting. The Korban Eidah in Yerushalmi says it was a snake bite.
Ernie, it's like surprising, she must have been very wise, or he was very old, that he would just pass on this, the situation, to the mother, whereas you would think the father would really take on the situation, right?
Well, the mothers are the ones who raised the children.
Right, but in terms of, an emergency like this, I don't, it is surprising, I think. I don't know. I guess she must have been a very wise woman, or maybe he just didn't feel. I know you would think the father would take charge and, do something about it. I don't know. Surprising.
There also remember, this is a duplication of the nace that Elio did to the Ben Hatzrafit in Melachim Aleph Yud Zayin. It was also the woman.
The woman also, the woman took charge.
It was also the woman.
Mm-hmm.
Now we'll see. There's a machlokas in the Meforshim. According to Radak, the child didn't die; he just fainted. Of course, there's others that say he actually died, and we'll get into that a little bit more. What does the mother do? As Barbara said, this is a smart woman. She immediately takes the child up to Elisha's room and puts the child on the bed of Elisha. L'chora, that's probably the best place to keep the child. Vatizgor bado vatetzei, and she closes the door. She doesn't even tell her husband what's going on. She does not tell her husband at this point that the child has died. But now vatikra Elisha vatomer. She calls to her husband and says, Shulchanali echad ben hanarim. Send me one of the workers, v'chara atonot, and the female donkey, varutza ad ishalim varshuva. I myself, I'm going to run to Elisha. Doesn't explain to the husband what, why, who. Vayomer madu at holechet elav hayom. The husband is curious. Why are you going to him? Lo chodesh v'lo Shabbat. It's not Rosh Chodesh today. It's not Shabbos. She answers, Vatomer Shalom. Everything is okay. From here we learn that Rosh Chodesh and on Shabbos, they received the Navi. And yet she still doesn't reveal what's going on. There's also a pshat. She's counting on a nace. A nace will occur usually bitsina, hidden, quietly, not openly. So that's why she's keeping it on the down low. Good morning, Rosh Hashanah Ted Zayin Beis. I'm Rabbi Yitzchak. Chai Vadam Lagnu Pnei Rabba Beregel. It's a mitzvah to go visit your Rebbe on Yontif. My mother tells me in Frankfurt that her father would take the three boys, and the Belzer Rebbe came in from Galicia, because they took him, he was ill, and they took him to one of the bath towns like Wiesbaden or Bad Gastein, one of the bad, and all the Chassidim went Shavuos, designed by the Rebbe. From this halacha, Chai Vadam Lagnu Pnei Rabba Beregel. Now the Maharsha and others ask, what do you mean? When here it's Chodesh and Shabbos, not the Regel. Really, the Ritva explains a Talmud's supposed to visit it. Depends where he is. If he lives in the city of his Rebbe, he has to visit his Rebbe every day. If he's outside the city, then it's occasional. Then it's maybe once a month. Here again, the Noida Yehuda, the great Gadol in Prague, says that the Inyan of Shabbos and Chodesh, they have more Kedusha because they have a Korban Musaf. And that Yontif also has a Korban Musaf. A Talmud is only supposed to stand up in front of his Rebbe twice a day, Shachris and Ma'ariv. Because otherwise, the covet you're going to show the Rebbe will be greater than the covet you showed the Shemayim. So all of these dinim of the covet to the Rebbe was only in the time of the base of Mikdash. Zman Hazeh says in Noda B'Yehuda, where we don't make Aliyah Regel, so there's no chiyuv anymore for Yontif. There's no chiyuv for Yontif. There's no chiyuv for Shabbos. That's why in the tour in the Shulchan Aruch you don't see any of this dinim. The Rambam mentioned it, but nobody else.
Ernie, I just wanted to say the fact that she didn't say anything to anyone, perhaps it was indicative of the fact that she was very confident that Alicia would help her, and
Yes.
Chris would regain his.
Yes,
you know,
I think I saw that pshat. I think that's a good pshat. The Yaros Dvash says this the opposite of the Noda B'Yehuda. That since we don't have the Beis HaMikdash, we used to receive the Shechina of the Beis HaMikdash. Now, the only Kabbalah Shechina we have is visiting your Rebbe. So just the opposite. The Malbim says that there was a minig to visit an Isha Lokim on Chodesh and Shabbos. What does it say in the end of Yeshayahu? That in the future, when we rebuild the Beis HaMikdash, we will return to that. Like it says, Vayami de Chodesh b'Chodsho, u'midei Shabbat b'Shabbato yavo kol basar lishtachvot l'fnei Amar Hashem. B'zman hazeh we can't do it. But then they would visit Chodesh and Shabbos by the Navi. It was like the Shechina was there as well. Chavdalet. Vatachavosh ha'aton. So she saddled the aton. Vatomer el nahara nahag v'lech. Okay, let's go. Al tasri lirkov ki amarti lach. Don't stop me from writing. Pasuk chafei vatelech vatavo Elisha l'Har Carmel. Elisha's in Har Carmel. Vayi kirot ishalim otam mineged vayormel Gehazi nero inei ashurim italas. Elisha recognizes her and says to Gehazi, what's she doing here? It's not Chodesh, it's not Shabbos. Ata rutznali krata. Run to her. Ve'emor la shalom lach, shalom li'ishecha, shalom la'yeled. Is everything good with her husband, with her child? And she says, Vatomer shalom. Right now, she doesn't say to Gechazi anything. By the way, Shulchan Aruch, Even HaEzer, Chaf Aleph, Ein shoalim b'shlom isha. You don't say, you don't greet women with shalom aleichem, even through a shaliach. Afilay de shaliach, afilay de baila. You can't send word through a husband. How's your wife doing? Directly to her. You can ask the husband that she's okay, but you can't send word via the husband. The Ritva, in explaining these halachas, says, Hakol kafi masha adam makir ba'atzmo. Imroi lo lasos achok liyitzro oseh. A person knows his own heart. A person knows what his yetzer is regarding sexual items. If a person understands that he has to keep away from these kind of things, then he has to keep away. So even to look at colored clothing, says the Ritva.
Something happened.
No, that's nothing. Even to look at colored clothing. So everyone is different regarding these issues. And if someone doesn't have a big Yetzer Hara, you could say Shalom Aleichem. We see Rabbi Yochanan in Baba Metzia would sit at the gate of the mikvah, right? Because he wanted the women to, he was a very handsome man. He wanted the women to have in mind so that they would have handsome children. What about his, obviously he didn't have a Yetzer Hara. How about this in Kiddushin Mem? Ravada Barava, Nokit Kala Akatfei V'Rakidba, would pick a kala up on his shoulders and dance with her. Over there, the Gemara says it was like a for him, it's like a block of wood. He had no Yetzer Hara. So, anyways, I thought that was interesting. But here, Elisha certainly had control over his Yetzer, so he could ask Shalom Aleichem. He didn't yet know about his Meshares Gechazi, because otherwise he wouldn't have sent Gechazi to the woman. Like Barbara said, he did ask, but if he was more temperate, he would not have involved himself in direct conversation with her either. The Aruch HaShulchan says the same thing. Akol tolul if he das for your shemayim, if a person's Yetzer is there. Pasuk Chav Zayin. Vatavo Elisha le'melahar. The woman ignores Gechazi and goes up to Elisha v'techazek b'raglav and grabs onto his feet. Vayigash Gechazi lehadfa. Gechazi comes to push her away. Vayomer ish Elohim arpela. Leave her. Ki nafsha marala. Her soul was bitter. Vashem elimimeni. Hashem hid this from me. V'lo higidli. Like it says by Avram, Mechasani me Avram Ashani Yoseh. Right? Hashem was hiding what he was planning to do to Stam. So the Gemara in Brachos darshans this pasuk. Brachos Yud Amud Beis. Vayigash Gechazi lahadfa Amrav Yisrael Chanina she'achza b'hod yafyat. Gechazi was captured by her beauty. So the Alshich notes, but prior to this, he didn't notice that she was beauty. They were together there in the home. But what happened was, when Elisha told her that she was going to have a child, she returned to her youth. And she was very beautiful in her youth. So now her appearance was different. But We see all along how smart the Isha Shunamit was. She already knew who this Gehazi was. Because remember, we learned, Ish Elokim Kadoshu, who Kadosh, ve'ein mishar so Kadosh. Vatomer Hasha'alti ben me'es Adoni. The Isha Shunamit is angry and says, did I ask a child from you? Hello, Amarti lo tishlosi. I asked you back then not to fool around with me. So Elisha understands what's going on. So he says, Vayomer leGehazi, Chagor matnecha, tighten your belt. V'kach mishanti, take my staff, biyad chavaleh. Ki timsa ish lo tevarchenu. Don't stop anybody. Don't let anybody say hello to you. And if somebody blesses you, v'chivrecha ish lo, don't answer it. The Santa Mishanti al pnei anar. Take my staff, put it on the face of the nar, and he's going to wake up. He should not tell people, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to be B'chai Mesim. That, like we said, Nisim occur B'tzina, quietly. That's why the instructions that were given to Gehazi was like that.
But why did he send Gehazi and not go himself?
Good question. Because we'll see Elisha in the end does go by himself. I think he wanted to do as little miracle as necessary. What he tried to do here now is send him with the staff, and he thought by putting the staff on the child would wake up. And why do it this way? It looks like a natural, not an open nace. You're always supposed to try things naturally first. Otherwise, there'll be an Ein Hara there. Say that
Obviously, he felt that that he wasn't needed to perform the miracle. Otherwise, he wouldn't have sent Gehazi. Obviously,
he didn't think he was needed. By the way, you know that by Yaakov Avinu, he uses these maklos, these sticks that he has, to all these, and he has all these sheep.
the sheep.
The sheep. That also is a similar thing that he wanted to show that it's really a natural thing and not like a big nace, even though it is a nace. But Gehazi didn't follow Elisha's command. Anybody asked him, where are you going? He said, I'm going to be B'chai Mesim.
Ernie, I just also wanted to ask you.
By the way,
Was
because he didn't believe it was going to happen. Remember we said he kafar b'tchias amesim.
Was Elisha cognizant of the fact that Gehazi, did he expect more of him? Obviously,
Not at
giving
this
him
time. It's going to be revealed. It's going to be, Gehazi is doing all of this on the sly, and it doesn't get back to Elisha initially.
But Elisha doesn't see it. He doesn't see that the Talmud is following in his footsteps.
Exactly. He obviously has higher expectations of him, giving him all these different instructions, thinking that he would listen, and he doesn't. So he's obviously not aware of Gehazi and his limitations.
Not yet. Now, the Malbim answers Temi's question. He says, Elisha chashav tchila shayirak iluf. Elisha thought that the child had fainted. So therefore, that's why Elisha thought it would be enough to send by Shaliach, not go himself, just use the stick. And
what was his basis? Oh, sorry.
Not to talk to other people is Shelo la'afsika koach shel Natan Elisha b'yado liyot bimkomo. He made him a Shaliach, and if you're going to be mafsik and talk to other people, that koach that he gave him would be interrupted. That's what the Malbim says.
Why did he not think that the boy had died, but rather fainted? What was his basis?
10-year-old boys don't die. They're out in the field. He had a heat stroke. It's just not common. And we'll see. The Radak brings the machlokas. Most Meforshim hold that he did die here. He had a ruptured aneurysm or whatever, or a snake bite. We said the other shot.
Listen, it wouldn't be a miracle if he didn't die, because the whole thing of putting the staff on him was to revive him. So he had to have died.
Correct. but we'll see. Okay. The revival, we'll have to wait for the revival next week. But I think we made good. I think we made.
Ernie,
good-
you'll
we
have
made
a
good-
revival by next week too.
God willing. God willing. Thank you.
Well, welcome
We missed
home.
you. We missed you all. We missed you all. I think you'd all, Friday, I wanted to say what Friday in Budapest, first of all, Budapest is a magnificent city.
Magnificent city. It's beautiful, gorgeous,
Shul, it's just, we took a cruise down the Danube at night.
gorgeous.
These buildings are illuminated, right? It's just a very special event. But Friday night in the Dohani Shul,
Mm.
I did go
You
Friday
went
night.
before.
I'm trying to explain.
But wait a second, isn't that
We
a
were
Reform
Makabel
shul?
Shabbos at 7:30. But they had a minyan at 6 o'clock. There are a lot of people there. There are about 100 men and maybe 50
Wow.
women. The women sit in the women's section, but no mechitza. They had a chazan, a choir, and an organ. The organ is played by a non-Jew. They were paskin 200 years. It's called neolog.
Neolog,
Not
right.
reform. It's not reform. It's somewhere between reform and Orthodox. They moved the bima up to be next to the Aron, like an altar. But they said exactly the same tefillas that we do, Kabbalah Shabbos. I have to tell you, it was magnificent. It was so spiritual. Nobody said a
We
word.
should learn from that. Maybe we'd have more people coming to shul
No, I didn't daven
and not
there.
running to all the different little shuls.
Oh my God. And I will tell you something else. There's another synagogue called the Spanish Synagogue that's also a magnificent synagogue. And
That's in
we went in Prague. They handed out leaflets. Music, there was this from 7 to 8 o'clock, a quartet with singers for an hour. The place was packed. It was the most beautiful music because the acoustics, you never heard acoustics like this. The ceilings are so high, and wherever we went, music. Shabbos, we were walking.
No, don't.
There's
There's
folk dancing. No, and I felt so embarrassed about America. Like
don't. Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna say it.
Don't say the word.
Everything is my
Bad words.
bad
Bad
words
words.
and the current music. It's not.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. You should see what's going on there. There's an appreciation for Western civilization and culture, and we've left that behind here. Not everywhere. Of course, there's a music center. We can go see opera. We can go see classical music, but modern culture has been taken over by something else.
Well, that's only in those countries where they haven't had much integration of other cultures.
Yeah, he doesn't let
So you go to
immigrants.
England, you go to France,
No.
it's already mixed cultures.
This
He
was
doesn't
Prague.
let migrants
Yeah,
in.
no, yeah, Prague, yeah. Well, Hungary is
I
very
think
tough on
Hungary-
immigration.
Ernie, were you in the opera house? I actually saw a Hungarian opera when I was there. Did you
Well,
see the?
Susie, we went to we saw Mozart opera, Cosi fan
That's
tutti,
when we went by
in the
ourselves.
Viennese, in Vienna, in the
Oh,
opera
yeah.
house.
Oh,
But
wow.
what
The
I-
opera
what I-
house is magnificent in Hungary. Did you, so you're, they,
What
you,
did
was
Harold
it
say? I wanted to
good?
respond. What-
Harold
Did you have a
said
good caterer? You had a
everybody-
good caterer?
Oh, yeah.
everybody in.
So on the shuls, they had pictures of all the hostages. You know, here in Los Angeles, you put one of those things up, the next day it's defaced or pulled down.
Okay,
Those were up the whole time we were there.
And people-
People are going by. It's just
But
different.
isn't the Tahini synagogue where Tony Curtis gave that thing for the Holocaust?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
well,
Beautiful.
Hungary, you've got Viktor Orban, so he really runs a tight ship.
Yeah,
he's a
Orban won't
dictator.
let the
He's a
Muslims come in.
dictator.
Yeah.
Trump's best friend.
That's right, exactly.
The rest of Europe
exactly.
hates him. Yeah.
Who
Remember,
hates him?